from Texas, and Henry Hyde from Camp Creek, who was only sort of their friend, since he wasn't very friendly. The aggressively borrowed vehicle bumped and squeaked and grumbled down dark roads as they left Dr. J and her terrible brain dying, and Edgaren't and his terrible Edgarentness behind. They had also left the keys to these books behind, in the clutches of Edgaren't. It was all aggravating, which was a type of annoying that was so annoying it made you angry. Theo imagined wings for herself, pictured soaring above the van, looping through the skies, looking for threats and handily defeating them. She couldn't hold on to the fantasy, though, any more than Alexander could hold on to a dream of a normal summer. Yeah, no, she sighed and went back to scratching at the locks with her tools from the ceramic building at Camp Creek. There were 2 long, hooky metal things for scraping pots and 1 narrow wooden stick thing for, well, she wasn't sure. The tools had worked great for picking door locks and even drawer locks, but these book locks were itty-bitty. There was no way her current tools would work, but Theo hated sitting still with nothing to do with her hands. "Is it weird that I miss Aunt Sophronia's car?" Alexander asked. "When it wasn't disappearing around us, at least." "I miss her house, when it actually had food for us, at least." "I know we didn't know her well, and she's—" Alexander was about to say, a ghost, but the words caught in his throat. The word ghost felt like he had swallowed a pancake with no butter or syrup on it, and it was stuck, sponged onto his insides, refusing to budge, which was a terrible mental image. Both something being stuck in his throat and a pancake without butter or syrup or whipped cream or jam or honey butter or apple butter or— Alexander's stomach grumbled. "I miss the food, too," he said. He couldn't believe his last meal had been served buffet style. He missed Aunt Sophronia's clean kitchen with its black and white tiles and marigold walls, where he could observe all the food safety protocols. He also missed the blissful innocence of not realizing their Aunt Sophronia, who had been charged with taking care of them for the summer, was A, dead, B, had been dead the entire time, and C, was somehow banished now, which meant she was deader? Or still just as dead, but unable to reach them anymore? He wasn't certain of the logistics. But he was certain that she had been the only grown-up person, well, person-ish, on their side. Now they didn't have anyone in charge of them. And Alexander really, really liked people being in charge. It made him feel safe and taken care of. Theo didn't really like people being in charge of her, but she did really like knowing when she was going to have her next meal. And she liked weird Aunt Sophronia. It made her sad that someone had taken their aunt away from them, when their parents had very purposefully chosen Aunt Sophronia to take care of them. Leaving Aunt Sophronia in charge seemed like a bizarre choice, made even bizarrier. Theo knew that wasn't a word, but felt like it should be, a combination of more bizarre and scarier, knowing that Aunt Sophronia was on the wrong side of the grave to be a good babysitter. But their parents had to have summoned Aunt Sophronia for a reason. They could have left Theo and Alexander with a neighbor, or even with Will. Though, to be fair, even an occasionally incorporeal ghostly babysitter still paid more attention than Will did. Theo's aggressively borrowed wooden tool snapped in half. She set everything aside with a huff. She had to be careful, or she'd jam the locks. Jam. Without realizing it, her mind fell into the same hungry thought spiral as Alexander's as it snagged on jam, then peanut butter and jam sandwiches, then peanut butter cookies. Though the Sinister-Winterbottom twins were very different, they still managed to land on the same thoughts frequently. Meanwhile, Quincy was filling in Mina and Lucy on what they had missed. The Blood Sisters had only joined their van a couple of hours ago, and so they didn't know anything about what had happened at Camp Creek. Quincy knew all about it, since she had been brain-dyed alongside Alexander. Theo had saved them, and then together they had saved the rest of the campers and counselors and escaped just in time to snag Mina and Lucy, who had been on their way to the terrible camp. Quincy toyed with her beloved lassos while narrating the events. "And that's how we discovered that all our parents went to Camp Creek together one summer, and several of them mysterious..."